Hi, everybody. Welcome into a special edition live Sal's House. We are on location tonight at Sports City Pizza Pub, 1407 Niagara Street. I would say my first sponsor I ever had here on Capaccio Media and Sal's House. So wonderful to be here once again. We've been here several times before, and tonight's a big night, especially for us Yankee fans. I don't have my Yankees logo on, Mike, but I got Yankee colors on, right?
There we go.
It definitely counts. All right. This is Mike Rizzo. Him and his family own Sports City. They've owned it for quite a while. This is a fantastic space. If you've not come down here to Sports City Pizza Pub, you need to get down here tonight or any other night. But tonight, you still got plenty of time. We're going to be here talking Yankees, Blue Jays, Bills, Sabres, UB, sports, and everything else in between with Jonah Bronstein, who's going to join me here in a little while. But first, I want to get Mike in here to tell everybody all about the space. I walked in. You got this brand new like bar wall set up. It's really cool. I'm going to show the camera here, everybody.
Yeah,
look at this.
absolutely.
Very cool.
Yeah, so
we got a little space there. What's going on there?
We put in this bar countertop, kind of a divider to separate the dining room from the bar space itself.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Basically what we're doing is we're taking the best of what the bars around Buffalo have to offer and putting our own twist on it. It's got a granite countertop. It allows a lot more standing room, and really we can just pack these games in for Bills and hopefully Sabres games coming up soon.
All right, so, and if everybody can't see, I'm going to show you right now. Look at this. Look at the patio outside. They got a beautiful, spacious patio. Pups on the patio. You got that going on, first Tuesday, right?
The second Monday of every
second
month.
Monday. I thought I had that right. Anyway, second Monday of every month. Pups on the patio.
Yep, so we got one more coming up in October.
I'll say this. It's been great weather to be on the patio.
Oh, it's been absolutely gorgeous. This summer could not have been better.
So Bills are going on the road here for a little bit. They got the game in Atlanta Monday night. You're going to be packed, get a packed house here.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you got a lot of things going on. Tell everybody what they can do when they come in here tonight and some specials you got going on and how you guys do things here.
Yeah, absolutely. So tonight on Wednesdays, we've got $1 Wing Wednesdays. That's going on. Any flavor, any amount. Phone's ringing right now, so you know that it's already popular.
That's right.
We got that going on every single Wednesday. And in terms of leading into the Bills game on Monday, if you haven't made your reservations yet, we highly recommend you give us a call at 716-871-8088 and reserve your table. If by chance they are sold out by the time you give us a call, that's why we put in the new bar, so that you have that standing room and that option so that we can pack this place for another Bills victory.
All right, you already got Cubs, Brewers on right now. Yankees, Blue Jays coming up a little after 7. That's why we started a little early tonight to get people in here. They can watch the game, so we're not talking over them when you come in here. But we got some great drink specials. I always say this is one of the best spots, if not the best spot in all of Western New York to watch all the games all around. Just come on down here, 1407 Niagara Street. It's basically between the 198 and the Peace Bridge. That's the best way for me to describe it here at Sports City Pizza Pub. I'm going to let Mike go do his job. You come on down, all right, everybody, and say hi to me and Jonah Bronstein, and we're going to be here for a little while, and we're going to be giving away some stuff, and we're going to be talking with Jonah Bronstein. So thank you very much. We'll
Fantastic,
do that, and we'll bring Jonah
in
right now. In the meantime, while we wait for Jonah, let me tell you about our other sponsors. Of course, Sports City Pizza Pub. Mike's been with me for a long time. All right, come on around, Jonah. You're good. We're going to bring you in here in a second. TSE Buffalo. That's right. Total Sports Enterprises. They are the official Buffalo Sabres and Bills, official Buffalo sports merchandise, Buffalo Bills merchandise provider. And you can, you're going to check them out. They're going to be at Sabres games with tables. There are Bills games with tables. You know exactly what I mean. They got mystery helmets and pictures, everything going on. And of course, they have private and public signings. All right. So make sure you check them out at tsebuffalo.com. And Herbal IQ, a New York State licensed dispensary. Herbal IQ. If you haven't seen their showroom, it's absolutely awesome. 6300 Transit Road. Check them out. We're doing a lot of great things there too. And sometimes we bring Sal's House out to Herbal IQ. In the meantime, don't want to wait too long tonight and don't want to go too long because we want to get to the baseball game going on tonight. And you can all, of course, jump in and comment just like Scar did. Said, Sal, I just passed a bunch of Yankee fans heading to the stadium for the game. Passed a dark sort of, I don't know what that means. L-I-R-O. I don't know, whatever it is. I don't know what it means, what you're saying there, but either way, I think you're going to the game tonight. All right, I got you. All right, going to the Yankee Stadium. Jonah Bronstein is going to join me here. What's up, buddy? How are you?
How you doing, Sal?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks a lot for coming out here at Sports City Pizza Pub. Wanted to get Jonah on for a few different things. One of the biggest reasons is Jonah's got his pink on. This is American Cancer Society's Real Men Wear Pink Month, October. I've participated. I'm going to be bartending a little bit along the way. I don't do as much of the fundraising part that you're doing, but that's why I wanted to hype you up to get people to talk about the American Cancer Society and Real Men Wear Pink. How long have you been doing it? You had some pink shoes too. I like that.
I got pink shoes and a lot of pink wardrobe. Pink. I don't know. Is this pink? This is a little bit.
I'd say it's a little off color. It's okay. We can count it as pink today.
Close enough.
How long have you been doing it?
For the whole month of October. So we're 9 days into it so far, and I've been. I got to do some laundry. I've been through all of my pink shirts and
because the deal is you got to wear something pink every day of the month, right? So when I did, I'm like, well, I can get a pink wristband because it's tough. You got to find some pink things. Why do you do it? Why do you participate in Real Men Wear Pink?
This is my second year doing it. I got involved last year with the American Cancer Society. I had some connection with ACS through Coaches vs. Cancer. I think we've seen each other at some of the basketball events that they've put on over the years. And then a year and a half ago, my sister was diagnosed with triple-negative breast cancer, and that was a very life-changing event for my family, for her, myself, and all of us around her. And through that, I was kind of inspired to do some more with ACS, and I've been approached about doing the Men Wear Pink campaign. I'd seen yourself and some of our other friends in the Bills media group had done it in years past. I had been to some of the events, and I got more and more involved. And then I had a lot of fun with it, wearing pink and spreading the awareness and raising some money and learning more and more about cancer research, cancer treatments, cancer services for patients, not just breast cancer, but all of the different cancers and all of the things that the American Cancer Society and Roswell Park here in Buffalo do for cancer survivors and cancer patients, and even people that don't have cancer yet, the testings, the screenings, and the research that goes into maybe someday finding a cure or definitely finding better and better treatment. So now I'm all for continuing to support that for breast cancer this month and all cancers, all of the months.
Yeah, we've shared our story and as well. My wife is here, and her mother was diagnosed stage 4 breast cancer several years ago, and through the great people at American Cancer Society, all the great places, and she's down in Florida and Moffitt and Roswell and all those places. She's doing great, and it's a testament to the people who really bring the fight to the forefront and raise money like Jonah. So you're doing American Cancer Society's Real Men Wear Pink. How can people donate to your campaign? I believe there's a website you can go to, right? I don't have it on the screen right now, but I can grab that for everybody.
Yeah, there is a Men Wear Pink website. This is a national campaign, but there's a local initiative with 22 Western New York ambassadors. We all have a page, Real Men Wear Pink, /Buffalo, I believe is what it is. Through that, you can find my page, donate directly through me or any of the ambassadors that you may know or encounter through this month. We have some different events, guest bartending at various locations around town, where tips and portions of the proceeds. We've done that here at Sports City in years past. And so doing that, and in different ways. If you see me, I'm not wearing it today, but if you see me, I'm usually wearing a pink wristband that you can tap right there and make a donation that way. Various links on my social media. So pay attention to things that I put out, some of the other ambassadors put out, and there'll be opportunities to donate and join the cause and support what we're doing.
Colin, if you could throw up Jonah's X page, what is it? It's LeBronstein. You have one of the best. I love it. He has one of the best Twitter names out there. X names, LeBronstein, like obviously LeBron James, but it's LeBronstein. And Jonah's and Colin's going to put it up there so everybody can see it on your screen right there. You can go to Jonah's page. You can find out how to donate, and also you can find out and see his work. You might be asking, like, wait a minute, I know that name. I know Jonah. What does he do? So there's a lot of people who are a little bit more on camera or off camera, on a mic, behind the mic. Jonah's been a writer. He's been on screen, but he does a lot of different things. Tell everybody kind of what your space is in the Buffalo media space.
Well, these days I work full-time at WIVB with the digital department, and it's mostly a writing-based job, but there are some times I appear on television, times I appear on our digital app, WIVB Plus, that you can see things like that. But it's a lot like the newspaper sports writing job that I had done years before with Buffalo News, Niagara Gazette newspaper, Associated Press that I still work with a bit now. And but my main employer right now, WIVB.com, I cover at least the home games, Bills, Sabres, colleges, high school, Bandits, Bisons, and just about anything.
You kind of have to cover everything. And Jonah was one of the first guys that I met that really was immersed in the high school and college scene, coming back up from Florida many, many years ago and through our journeys here. And I just respect a lot of your college knowledge. I'll go to you and I'll ask some questions. And we're at that time of year now, right? I mean, you're covering UB football. We'll start there. We'll go to the basketball team here in a minute. But big win for Pete Lembo's team, a MAC win. And I'm a real big supporter of Pete Lembo. I think he's done a great job to solidify this program. But what do you see from the outside looking in on the challenges that he has and the good job that he's done navigating this team?
Yeah, I was really impressed with the job Pete Lembo did with UB last year. And how could you not? 9-4, one of the best turnarounds in the country and one of the best final records that a UB team has ever had at the Division I level. And from that, with the number of players that they retained and bringing back almost all of their starters on defense, they had some pretty high expectations for this season. I think the results have been mixed so far. They're 3-2. it's not
couple of late game leads.
Couple of late game losses. They had an injury, a quarterback, Taquan Roberson, that missed the fourth quarter of a game that they gave up a 17-0 lead in the fourth quarter, then missed the next game that they lost. So maybe if he's healthy, they don't lose those 2 games, or they split those games and the record looks better. But the wins haven't been super impressive lately. Kent State and Eastern Michigan are 2 of the lower ranked teams in the MAC. UB had to come back to beat both of them and narrowly pull this one out. They just won in overtime. They never had the lead before overtime. So kudos to UB for pulling out those games and getting those wins and being resilient after some hard luck losses. But overall, the performance has been inconsistent and not as good as they were a year ago.
Yeah. So when you go to a UB game, you watch this team, what stands out about it? Like where do they need to improve, and where have they been pretty good actually that you've watched?
Well, they were expected to have one of the best defenses in the MAC, and they still might. Still got to see more play in the MAC play, bigger MAC games, and see how the overall body of work works out. But they've had some really great defensive performances, 6 sacks and a half of one of the games that they lost. Red Murdoch's among the national leaders in tackles and probably an NFL player, and he's having an excellent season. He's pretty close, or 1 forced fumble away from tying Khalil Mack for the most in NCAA history.
It's incredible.
So they have done some really good things.
Wait a minute. So let's just get this straight. When he does it, Red Murdoch, by the way, I want to ask you another question about Red, but when Red Murdoch forces another fumble, are you telling me the 2 all-time leading NCAA forced fumble leaders are from the University of Buffalo?
Well, that's the case right now. Khalil Mack is number 1 with 16,
and
he's number 2 at 15. But then when he gets another one, they'll be
incredible.
tied. And I think Red Murdoch, whose first name is Khalil as well, will someday
good knowledge.
Get 2 more, and he'll be number 1, and Khalil Mack will be number 2.
I love that. Thanks a lot, Paul, coming in from Texas to say hi. How are you, Paul? Hot Dirt is here as always. Keep us updated. Yep, Coach Drunk Chris Curtis also in the bullpen on the WGR streams. I'd like to give some acknowledgement to. That's pretty cool at Red Murdoch. And then offensively, Roberson, you were talking to him about quarterback. What have you seen from him so far?
Well, he's an experienced player. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He's a good runner. He threw some nice touchdowns. They didn't have a lot of total yards, and then they had a 75-yard touchdown and some big plays in these last win. If you took out the big plays, they didn't do a whole lot else, especially in the passing game. But those big plays were scoring plays and flipping the field and things like that ultimately helped UB win that game. They've been better running the ball than throwing the ball so far, especially when they had the backup quarterback in there. There's nothing I think that they have fatal flaws, but at the same time, they haven't really maybe played their best football very often so far in the first half of the season, 6 games into the season. They have 2 more games coming up against UMass and Akron that are bottom of the MAC team. So I think they should win those games and get this record into a better place or above 500. And then if they can start playing a little bit better, a little more consistently offensively, when they have some tougher games down the schedule, that's when I think we'll really find out how good this UB team is. But even though I think the results have been mixed, I still see the potential for them to be a good team and have a good record and have a good season.
We're at Sports City Pizza Pub, 1407 Niagara Street. Going to be here till about the Yankees game starts against the Blue Jays. I call it the Yankees game. Some of you out there might call it the Blue Jays game because you're a Blue Jays fan. But either way, Yankees, Blue Jays at just about 7-10. I want to ask you about Red Murdoch. So Joe Andreessen, we know his great story now with the Buffalo Bills. He doesn't get drafted, tries out with the Chiefs. They don't offer him. Tries out with the Bills. They offer him. He actually makes the team. Sean Dolak, a lot of people thought he should have been drafted. I did. Doesn't get drafted, signs with the Rams, and lo and behold, he makes the 53. I believe he's leading, or it was last week, in special teams tackles in the NFL, which is pretty awesome. And here comes Red Murdoch. Can we say, is it tough to say, is Red Murdoch better than the other 2? Like, is this pro prospects, Red Murdoch, you said he should get drafted. Is that where the expectation is?
It does feel a little bit like he has an opportunity to get drafted, and those 2 players didn't get drafted, and maybe a little bit more hype. Maybe he's going to do better on NFL Combine type testing. It's an interesting situation with Sean Dolak, who wasn't invited to the Combine, then ran very well at his pro day. And actually the same thing happened with Joe Andreessen a year earlier. It just wasn't as surprising that he wasn't invited to the Combine, but then didn't get drafted. It's not like that 4.6 that Sean Dolak ran in his pro day helped him get drafted, even though we thought it might have. I think Red Murdoch has a better potential to get invited to the Combine and perform well at the Combine. Or the Senior Bowl, and maybe help his draft status that way. But as far as college linebackers, I mean, I think Sean Dolak was a better college linebacker, and if that's purely how these players are being evaluated, then I put them on the same tier.
It's pretty amazing, though, that UB produces these guys who are just tackling machines and forced fumble machines.
Yeah, Red Murdoch was number 2 in the country in tackles last year, playing with Sean Dolak.
Right?
And it says a lot about their player development. Now, this has gone through with multiple coaching staffs going back, different players, but whether it's Sean Dolak or Joe Andreessen, these were players that came out of Western New York with no scholarship offers.
Right.
Sean Dolak had to walk on at UB. Joe Andreessen went to Bryant, playing at the FCS level, and they worked their way up to scholarship players and then All-American players in Sean Dolak's case, and NFL players eventually. Red Murdoch says his only scholarship offer was from Buffalo. So they found hidden gems, and then while they're on campus, developed them into better and better players. And I think seeing them follow that path from walk-on or transferring in and then becoming starters and productive college players and NFL players has created a pipeline where the linebackers come in and follow that path and go further themselves.
We have seen some really good college basketball here over the last several years. And at different points, different schools and programs have kind of reached the apex and been really good where they are, meaning like Damon, right? You got Damon gets the number 1 seed undefeated. Unfortunately, they lose last year in the tournament. But here comes Mike McDonald, wins the Coach of the Year award for his level, right? We've seen UB go to the tournament, now having some tough times. I think even, I know it hasn't been the results you wanted, but given what he's been given, I think Greg Paul's done a nice job at Niagara at times as well. And of course, down at St. Bonaventure, Mark Schmidt always doing a really nice job there. Canisius going through a big turnover. Let's start with UB, team that you cover a lot of, George Halkovich. I mean, how much of a challenge is it given where they are and the different kinds of things that go into the NIL, the portal, and all of that kind of stuff?
I think it's been a big challenge for all of these programs, and they've navigated it differently to various success levels, and Buffalo has not had much success navigating the new transfer portal era of college basketball in recent years. But I think they got a little bit more going, or they do have more going with an NIL program. And Turner Battle back as the general manager of that program going into this offseason. And that allowed them to get a little bit more talent in the transfer portal than they did in the past year or two. And I don't know how much of an effect you're going to see on this year's roster and this year's team, but it does, I think, the trajectory is moving in a more positive direction with the recruiting, and I think you'll see some of that on the floor and some of that in the record. It remains to be seen. I got to see him on the floor before I really can tell how many more wins that'll translate to.
It's so tough because of the era we live in. Like, even if you're making slow progress, you might take steps back because of the transfers and all those kinds of things that happen, right? And if a team even grabs somebody, maybe the next year they're not there any longer. By the way, real quick, Colin Ritchie, my producer, tells us Dolak is tied for first with 10 special teams tackles. Andreessen has 6. He's tied for 15th in the NFL. So that's a pretty good stat, right? Pretty amazing. Thank you. That's why we have Colin working it back there.
Sean Dolak started his UB career playing on special teams and kind of proved his worth to the coaches and got that scholarship that way, and then was plugged into the defense and becoming the NCAA's leading tackler. So it might be how it goes in the NFL. He might be playing for the Rams and then leading the NFL in tackles sooner than later.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So UB, obviously a bit of a challenge there, but same thing with Canisius and Niagara. And the thing that's really even more of a challenge with them might be, I mean, Canisius had like no roster basically a year ago. I mean, they have to really rebuild from the ground up.
Yeah, and Canisius was one of the worst teams in college basketball last year. One of the last teams to get a win, and at the bottom of the MAC. And they totally turned over the roster. And I think you're going to see definitely a different Canisius team. And I think they'll be better. But again, like UB, I don't know how much better. They're going to be different. They probably are going to play better and certainly play differently and try a different way to win a little bit. But will that mean more wins? It probably won't be one of the worst teams in the country anymore. But how many more wins will that be? Niagara and Canisius are both picked at the bottom of the league in the coaches poll. So the expectations aren't high, but we'll see how they do.
Expectations always high down in Ole, and especially since Mark Schmidt brings in Woj. He's got Big Red coming in from California, right? A really great transfer. He's got some really nice transfer players as well. I mean, of all the local schools, it feels like they've done the best job of navigating, but that helps when you can have the kind of foresight to bring in a guy like Woj, who obviously is an alum there, has the connections he has. And I think Mark Schmidt's team is poised to kind of take a step and stay kind of near the top of the A-10.
Yeah, I was down there yesterday watching him practice. And then, Joe Gahovic, the big red guy, he looks like a heck of a player.
Yeah.
And he was fun
looks
to
like
talk
Bill
to.
Walton, by the way.
He does. And he has an interesting story, a bit of a late bloomer that didn't play in high school and kind of got discovered playing at this junior college and then was one of the best junior college prospects in the country last year. And Woj's connections and ability to get out there and get Bonaventure in on his recruiting early on ultimately led him here to being on this team. They also have Frank Mitchell coming in as a transfer who was on the Canisius team 2 years ago and 4th in the country in rebounding, and he brings a lot of size and strength in the post. And one thing Bonaventure really is going for them, along with the 2 European players I think are going to be really good. I'd have to get my pronunciation guy in front of me to tell you exactly who they are, but they're both expected to be contributing players because they played a little bit of pro ball, if you will, over in the international leagues. And then Desante Bowen is back as the starting point guard. He was the starting point guard for the first 10 games last year, then got hurt. And that's a rare thing in college basketball these days, getting experienced players back that know your system and know how to play. And even though he only played in 10 games because of the injury, he was on the team, learning the sets, learning the culture. And so they have that returning quarterback, if you will. And I think that's going to help a lot with the talent they brought in the transfer portal and Mark Schmidt's coaching. That's the team in Western New York that I would expect the most out of this year. And they've been the team that's won the most games other than Damon over the last couple seasons.
I want to get to them in a second. Shout out to Mark Schmidt, though, and all he does for the American Cancer Society and Coaches versus Cancer. Always a great time to go down to Olean and be a part of that event and MC for the golf event and the dinner and things like that. And then if you have anything on Niagara, if you want, Greg Paulus, I just think he's in a tough spot, but I think he's done a good job to kind of just level that program up a little bit and kind of keep it pretty steady.
Yeah, I haven't been up there to see what they have roster-wise and with their new players. I still got to catch up on that. Greg Paulus, I think, has done well with navigating a different roster each year and getting the most out of it. And his teams usually get better as the season goes along, and they're pretty competitive. But it's been a while now with Greg Paulus as the coach there, and they haven't really had a winning season. They had one season with a 500 record, 16-15, I think it was. But they haven't had a really successful season, being one of the better teams in the league yet. And, I'm not saying that there's any sort of pressure or expectation that they have to be that good, but in order to have interest and keep going back and wondering, you want to see that eventually, or it starts to feel like, and it might not be Greg Paulus's fault, but just the program, the resources, the NIL. It's the same way with Canisius. You just wonder, are they kind of locked into being a bottom team in the MAC year after year after year, no matter what? And the recruiting and the transfer portal is just too tough of a game for Niagara and Canisius to play and win and be competitive.
Before I get to Damon, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the UB women's team. They've been a staple here in Western New York for quite some time. They've even changed coaches and still had success and everything Becky Burke did. What do we expect from UB women this year?
Well, they got a new coach, Kristen Sharkey, but she's not all that new because she was an assistant and played at UB under Felicia Leggett-Jack, and it was only 3 years ago that program left, and she left with them, and she's back, bringing a local flavor. Even though she's not a Western New York native, she feels like a Buffalonian for all the years that she lived here, and has brought in some staff members from Buffalo. Summer Hemphill, who played at UB, is back there on the staff, and some recruits and some players. And I think there'll be some transition. This happens less in Williams basketball, but it does happen, of losing your whole roster and having to replace it. But especially when you have a coaching change, that happens. I think it could be a transition year as they reform that roster and get the team back to the level of winning they had last year when they won 30 games in the women's NIT. But I do think that Kristen Sharkey has the program going in the right direction, and eventually they will be about as good as they were last year with Becky Burke.
All right, let's get to Damon. Mike McDonald. I mean, here we go again, right? I mean, he is Division II. They've done an amazing job. The way the tournament works, if you are like the top team like they were able to host last year, but unfortunately lost to, I think, Thomas Aquinas, right, is who beat them last year. And it's always a tough out for them. But Mike McDonald, what can you say about the job that he's done since he's been at Damon?
They've been a consistent winner year after year. Last year they won the most and got to their highest level, but they had been an NCAA tournament team and nationally ranked and winning close to as many games for a number of years going into this. And they have most of their team back again, which is really remarkable at the Division II level. Ben Bill, a big man from Hamburg, was a Division II All-American.
That's right.
And had opportunities to go elsewhere, make more money, play the Division I level. And he's staying here at Damon to further his basketball game and continue his education and stay in this culture that has been established there under Mike McDonald. All the players work the summer camps and hang out and become friends with Mike McDonald's boys and stuff like that. And I think that helps them win games. And then I think it helps in the transfer portal and players that from a pure talent and ability standpoint might transfer out of a Division II to go to a Division I elsewhere. But here at Damon, that doesn't happen as often. It didn't happen with Andrew Sisko a couple of years ago, where he was an All-American player, one of the very best big men in all of college basketball. And in today's college basketball climate, you expect because it happens so often, these players to level up year after year. But Damon has been able to retain its talent in a remarkable way over the last few seasons.
Retention is tough, and when you can do it, it obviously helps to keep guys in the system, as you say. Jonah Bronstein right here. You can follow him on Twitter at LeBronstein. Go check him out for his American Cancer Society Real Men Wear Pink campaign. Donate to that. Trying to promote that cause here this month, the month of October. We're live right here at Sports City Pizza Pub, 1407 Niagara Street. In a little while from now, we're going to have the Yankees and the Blue Jays game at number 4 coming up. And of course, the Yankees, the big comeback last night. Want to thank Herbal IQ, of course, a New York State licensed dispensary, 6300 Transit Road in Depew, and Total Sports Enterprises, TSE Buffalo, private public signings. They got a lot going on at TSE Buffalo. I was at a show this weekend called their Big Show 2, and I came home with a dog because they had an adoption place, and we adopted a dog while we were there, my wife and son and I. So we have a new dog at the house because they had I'm a sucker for that. It was just a sucker. So we were there, and that's what happened. All right, so Sabres season starts tomorrow. I know you're going to be up in the press box. I'll see you there for quite a few games. I'm actually surprised, Jonah, that I've been seeing some projections putting them at like maybe 92, 93 points. I'm like, wow, that seems pretty high, but I like it. But it feels like, is really, do people feel that this team can make that big of a jump from where they've kind of been the last several years?
I think they had that opportunity. The Sabres have good players. They have good players at important positions, and they haven't been a bottom of the league team the last few years. They were near there during that 13-game losing streak last year. But, the Sabres aren't a bottoming out rebuilding team. They have the roster and the talent level for, I think, some of these computer algorithms to see a potential playoff team. And I see some playoff potential with Lindy Ruff, with the culture. I think it took him most of last season to instill it, but you saw it in maybe the last 20 games or so a year ago. And I think that's going to carry over into this year, and it's carried into some of the moves that they've made, the players they've traded away, the reshaping of the forward lines in some ways. That, along with the team getting older and having top-end talent like Tage Thompson and Rasmus Dahlin, I think they have an opportunity to be a playoff team. And maybe some of that is other teams in the Eastern Conference not being as strong as they were in the last couple of years. I don't think the Sabres are Stanley Cup contenders, but I do think to be a
we just
team,
want playoff games here,
yeah,
man.
One
we
of
just
those
want
two.
playoff games in Buffalo. I mean, I moved back here 14 years ago. I've not seen a playoff game since I moved back to Buffalo. Last playoff game I saw was when I lived here when I was a kid, basically. It's unbelievable. How do you miss the playoffs that many years in a sport that everybody makes it?
Yeah, I mean, it is remarkable. To some reason, to me, it feels normal because we just went through this 17-year Bills drought. So the Sabres are on year 14. So it's like, all right, 2 more years of this. But, yeah, it is unbelievable. And, I remember you're a year or two older than me, but you remember this too. I mean, there was a long era where the Sabres didn't win much, but they went to the playoffs every year and lost in the first round in the 80s and the 90s. And even when they had more success later on, they were a team that was consistently in the playoffs, if not consistently winning playoff games. And now that's all gone. This is a longer streak of not being a playoff team than they ever had of any other high or low before that. And it does start to feel like these are just the Sabres, like they're the Washington Generals or something. They're just in the league to lose and not make the playoffs.
I remember, listen, true. If you think the Sabres, let's put it in perspective. We thought it was a bad drought from 83 to 93. They went 10 years, and they were the only team in the league at that time to not get out of the first round. But they'd made it. They just didn't get out of the first round. Like 10 years, not out of the first round. Now it's 14 years, not even into the first round, not into the playoffs, which is crazy, right? But, man, Jonah, they got to stay healthy, and already the injury bug. UPL is hurt. They're going with Alex Lyon tomorrow night to start. They didn't like what they saw from Georgiev, apparently. They picked up this new goaltender, Ellis, off waivers. Owen Power's a little bit banged up. I think he's going to play tomorrow. Matthias Samuelsson already gets a little bit banged up. They're missing Jordan Greenway. That's going to be the key to this year. I think they have to stay healthy.
Yeah, and these injuries are hitting them at a bad time. You're not supposed to be this injured early in the season. Training camp and preseason games aren't supposed to lead to this many injuries, and you're going to have injuries as the season goes along, but you want to start from a healthy place. And the Sabres have a lot of home games early on in the schedule and an opportunity to get ahead of the standings, if you will. And if they don't, then those road games are going to come back later on. So if the injuries lead to a slow start or uncertainty with the goaltending position cost them a few wins early on, then they're going to be chasing that all season long when the schedule toughens out, and that's going to get tougher and tougher. So I still have some belief in the Sabres winning some games and contending for a playoff spots this year, but they need to overcome these injuries and win early on, because I don't think that they will catch up very well if they don't get off to a good start.
We got like 2 minutes left here, then we're going to shut down so people can watch the baseball games and hear the sound here at Sports City Pizza Pub. It's $1 wing night. How about that? $1 per wing, any amount, any flavor. Come on down here, 1407 Niagara Street. We'll see you down here. Going to stay here and watch a little bit of the Yankees and Blue Jays game coming up. Are you dialed into baseball? I don't know how much you watch baseball or not, but I mean, like, obviously lots of fever here for the Blue Jays and the Yankees, and we're kind of at the crossroads here in Buffalo of these two fan bases going at it.
Yeah, so I would not say I'm dialed in. I do enjoy baseball, and I especially enjoy playoff baseball, and I like watching it and the drama and the entertainment, and I end up learning a lot about who these players are and how the season has gone from watching postseason baseball. But I don't have a favorite team that I root for. I think that sometimes fuels a lot of baseball fandom, and without that Yankees fandom or watching the Red Sox every day, it's tough to get into baseball before the postseason. And then for me, you know, I'd like to watch more baseball. I'd like to watch more NHL. That's not the Sabres, but I'm at these high school games and these college games and these Bills games and these Sabres games. And the thing that I don't find as much time for is following national sports and stuff like that. And I was thinking about that a little bit on the way over here, and maybe it was tied to, you visited my class that I teach at Villa Maria College, and we talk about different things with sports and whatnot. But I used to follow baseball every day because I watch SportsCenter every day, and you just learn everything going on in the 4 major sports leagues by just watching sports every day. And I don't know, you don't get that the same way. Maybe we do from social media, but I don't know. Sometimes
my
I'm
son
so
is a
lost.
good test on this. He'll watch, like, now he's actually getting older. He wants to watch TV in the morning a little bit and see some of the highlights from last night. But he kind of already knows what happened because he's got social media right there. He just wants to kind of see what happened now, right? When we were growing up a little bit more, it was like, what happened? I want to see the result. I want to see the score. I remember 11 o'clock. I got to find out the scores of all the games going on. Now it's, right away.
Yeah, and it does all happen in the feed. Maybe I'm not following the right accounts, but it does seem like a different experience of following national sports than it used to be. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me, the age I'm at, and some of my preoccupations with the local sports.
What we do for a living, right? Real quick, Elijah Kimball. You know about this kid, the Canisius, right? I just want to ask you because I haven't seen him, but everyone's telling me about him, and I haven't seen him. I know all about him, but just tell us a little bit about this kid and how good he is.
Yeah, well, I've been watching him. This is his 3rd year playing for Canisius. He got on the scene
running
as a
back
freshman
Canisius, so people
and
know.
Was
high school.
I think the leading rusher in Western New York as a freshman. And his first offer from Oregon came in about a game or two into his freshman year. Now he's got 26 offers. Ohio State is where I think he's leaning. He's been wearing the Ohio State headbands under his helmets. But he's a remarkable player. He's on pace if he stays healthy and stays in Western New York to set the all-time rushing record. Jehu Kalkrick had that for years ago at Southwestern, and then went on to Michigan State and some NFL years. Elijah Kimball just broke the Canisius record during his junior season, and that record was held by Quadri Olison, who was another NFL player running back. So these are some pretty lofty records that he's chasing down.
I believe Tyrone Wheatley Jr. is on the Falcons too, by the way. I saw his name. I think he's like injured on there, and that came across when I was prepping for Bills Falcons coming up.
Right, another former Canisius player when he was here. He didn't play running back either. His dad was a running back.
That's right. But anyway, I don't think he finished here either.
No, okay.
Right? I don't know if he did, but I know he was here for a hot minute. But anyway, it's really cool. Go support your local high school teams. Go watch Elijah Kimball at Canisius. Support your local colleges. Support this guy. For Real Men Wear Pink. Bronstein is where you can find him on X. Thanks a lot for everybody for coming out tonight. We're going to get off here so people can watch the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Thanks for coming out, buddy.
All right, thank you,
I really appreciate it. Jonah Bronstein right here. Thanks a lot to my producer, Colin Ritchie. Thank you to Mike Rizzo and everybody here at Sports City Pizza Pub for having us out. We're going to be here watching some baseball tonight. TSE Buffalo, TSEbuffalo.com, Herbal IQ, all a big part of what we're doing here at Sal's House. 1,600 live viewers coming in tonight, and I really appreciate that. Make sure you keep following along at Sal Sports. Have a great night, everybody.